Hey, I'm live for the first time in 2 nights, and I apologize. I was going to come back on Tuesday, but I was just not feeling it. I was really not feeling well at all. Just sometimes you get to points in life where you just simply have to listen to your body say, hey, you know what? I'm just tired. And that's exactly what happened. I got to a point where uh, I remember sitting here and wanting to come on, and something just quite literally just grabbed my body and soul and just dragged me like that. And I just went, oh. And, and I looked down, I thought, why am I doing this if I don't have it in me? Because there are times I've come on, and I think there was one time I was so tired I actually fell asleep in the middle of reading your comments, and I stopped and looked for some. Next thing I know, I realized I was asleep, and I was tired. I mean, I let the show go on. I think the show went on for like 2 hours or something like that. I once toyed with the idea of having an all-day live stream, just letting the thing run, going off and doing things, coming back, that sort of thing. And one day I might do that. This, however, is not that point in time. But I just wanted to say, hey, sorry about that. I hope everybody understands, but I gotta have energy to survive, live, all that. I mean, it just was a nightmare. Wow. So, I'm back, and hey, I'm back with, if Deer Park sees this, Deer Park, they're not a sponsor for the show, but I love it if they'd send some water for free, hey, that's a great idea. Deer Park, you guys do that, Deer Park? Deer Park water, great water. You know what? I think I will just seek out a sponsorship from Deer Park. Why not? Hey, this is great cold water. Hey, John Marks, how you doing? John Marks says 10-0 Oakland. Right now, the Athletics are on top at the 9th, 2 outs. 2 outs. Go Athletics. And thank you for the tweet, John Marks. Hey, by the way, have you seen the trailers for Halloween? Scary movie. Now, let's talk Miami Dolphins, okay? Because the title of this is Oakland Raiders at Miami Dolphins Preview and Las Vegas Stadium Update live stream, right? That's the title. So, without any further ado, I'm going to talk statistics. I'm going to talk about a matchup that I have to say I'm quite afraid about for the Raiders. But when I look at the statistics, the Raiders have on paper at least a pretty good shot, in spite of the fact that they are no wins and 2 losses, right? Listen to this. Total yards per game. Oakland, 384 yards, right? Miami, 299.5. And then we have, I'm reading the NFL statistics down here. In fact, rather than point at that, let me just show you and tell you, good old show and tell, and good old show and tell, right? Take a look, bing, okay? Boom, yeah. So we have passing yards per game, 290 for the Raiders, right? 172 for the Dolphins. This is the offensive comparison, okay? Rushing yards per game. Now, this is where it gets dangerous because even though this is where you can misinterpret. Rushing yards per game. The Dolphins are way ahead. The Raiders are paltry 93.5. The Dolphins are 127.5. Points per game, the Dolphins are higher. So the production of the Dolphin offense is better than the Raider offense. Third down conversions, the Raiders are better. Time of possession, the Raiders are better. So the Raiders have the ball a little more, but they don't do anything with it. The Dolphins do something with theirs. Defensive comparison, we scroll down just a little bit, take a look at the defense. Total yards per game allowed. The Dolphins allow fewer yards than the Raiders. That's another problem. Passing yards per game, here's we match strength to weakness. The Raiders' passing game is the strength. The Dolphins allow more yards through the air than the Raiders, right? Then we've got rush yards per game allowed. The Raiders, bad news. Look at the Dolphins. So this is, what this is going to look like? This is going to look like the Broncos game 2.0, okay? Points allowed per game, look at that, okay? And then third down conversions, the Raiders are better. Wow, okay. I'm sorry, folks. You know what this has been going to look like? This is looking like it has all of the recipe for another Raider loss akin to the Dolphins. Raiders loss akin to the Broncos loss. Why? Why? Because of the rushing problem. The Raiders are not producing enough yards on the ground. However, they're allowing too much on the ground. And ground control to Major Tom, well, or in this case, ground control to Major John Gruden. Ground control, the ability to run the ball when necessary, is, from a statistical perspective, more in the Dolphins' favor than it is in the Raiders' favor, okay? Now, let's go to hear what Oakland Raiders head coach John Gruden has to say about this. Before he does, I'm going to switch over and get your early comments. Go back a little bit to see what I missed because I don't want to get too far behind. And Sean Grogan, how you doing? Nice to see you, Sean. Welcome. And John Mark says, hey everybody. And Bill Wall says the first 2 weeks of NFL stadiums plagued by thousands of empty seats. The Redskins had over 20,000 empty seats in week 2. Hey, Bill Wall, I'm glad you brought that up real quick because, and Bill Wall says that ratings are down 7%. Black Lion says the stats are out the window. They have never won a game in the NFL history. Which stats? John Mark says Brett Anderson, 6 2/3 innings of great shutout ball. Raiders win. Oh, A's win. Woo! A's win. Woo! All right. Woo! That calls for another sip of, that's right. That's right. Deer Park water. Outstanding. Yes, it is water, folks. It is not beer. Deer beer, right? Deer beer. No, it's water. Deer Park water. It goes down great. Nice and cold. At any rate. Go A's. Fantastic. All right. Now, Blackline, you were saying throw the stats out the window, right? Why? Now, coming back to Bill Wall. Bill, you hit upon something regarding empty seats, and I'm going to base another show on that because I noticed that when the Falcons played the Carolina Panthers, there were empty seats there because I toyed with the idea of going to the game, right? I didn't. And I wondered what the ticket prices would be, and I thought, no. And I looked at the empty seats on television, and I thought, you know what? I probably could have scored a ticket at the last minute via StubHub for cheap. That's not a great sign. And remember Jerry Jones's comment that of a year ago that really the NFL didn't need the fans. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't complete a sentence, but as long as there was television, and there is, they kind of don't care. They're going to get their sellouts when necessary. And is this a prep for how it's going to look in Vegas? If they get there, you betcha. Now, Bill Wall says Falcons, Chargers, and several other teams complete that sentence, Bill. And Bill says because of the boycott, Trump made a tweet on the issue. I don't think it's because of the boycott at all. There are people who don't look. It's not the boycott. All right. If you believe it's the boycott, I'm gonna curse you. You're a fucking fool, and here's why. Okay, Bill? Because brokers. Listen to me. Brokers, listen to me. You have to listen to me. Brokers have taken over the NFL. Brokers will go through and they buy huge chunks of tickets. Okay, and they resell them on StubHub and other sites for much greater prices than they should be charged. So I call it the broker layer that exists, and it's really harmful to the National Football League from a perspective of the average fan that wants to attend a game. Don't fool yourself. Don't get fooled into that. Okay? You might have some political, you've never been here before, Bill. You may not have some political issue or leaning, and undoubtedly you're not Bill Wall. and I could definitely find out who you were if I wanted to. That's not something I choose to spend time doing. My point is this. The broker wall has governed the NFL for the past 7 years, and it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. You want to see existence of the broker wall, go out as soon as the games are announced, then wait a week and look at all the ticket exchanges and see the average price of each ticket for each game, okay? And so then when you have matchups among teams that are good but not popular, guess what? You're going to have mediocre ticket sales, fewer people in the stands than you like to see. That's the way it is in the NFL today, and it's going to be that way for quite some time until the NFL figures out a way to get complete control of the secondary ticket market, such that tickets are sold at a premium from at different tiers from the start. Now, I'm going to go to talk about the Raiders-Dolphins matchup. I'll come back to that, excuse me, in another show. But if you believe it has anything to do with a boycott, you're a fucking fool. I'm just letting you know that, okay? That's because it's not the case at all. My friend, my friend Bill Wall, it is not the case at all, and I'm pretty sure you're not a fucking fool, okay? Well, maybe about I don't know. But the whole point is, that's not the case, all right? Now, let's go and hear what the coach of the Raiders has to say, by the way. And you know what I'm talking about. Gruden. Here we go. This is Gruden.
He did very well. I think we talked about him emerging in the off-season program, and he steadily has really earned the right to play. He got hurt in training camp, hurt that finger, missed a couple weeks, but not only did he flash, he's consistently flashed and really has earned the right to play more and more.
Coach Frank Moore years ago when you were last coach, and he's still around. What do you see from him? And it's surprising that he's still going strong.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. He has been able to adapt and prove that he can play in any offense. You know, he's been one of the great two-back eye runners that I've seen in my time as a coach. And then Alex Smith came along, and they morphed into a shotgun operation. He played with Kaepernick. He proved he could play in that style of offense. And did some really good things quietly in Indianapolis, I think, and it's really cool to see him back in Miami where it all started.
Coach, Miami's done a really good job kind of spreading the ball around their offense. The first 2 weeks don't really have one or two guys to kind of got to key into. Does that make things more difficult when you game plan against a team like that?
Yeah, it makes it tough. They're a spread operation. They spread the field, and they have a lot of RPOs, a lot of running plays with built-in pass options, and they'll throw the ball to anybody. And Tannehill is as viable a ball carrier as Frank Gore is. You got to account for him. And Kenyon Drake is capable of making big runs. So they've got different styles of runners. They have a unique running game that's wide open. A lot of their passes are on running plays where they're throwing the built-in RPOs. So we got to defend the entire width of the field, and they have Kenny Stills and Parker, two guys that make you defend the field vertically. That's what Adam Gase's system does. It's tough.
Saying that Tannehill actually may have benefited from being out last year, and that he was around the team at every single meeting and took a step back and was looking at things a little bit differently than he ever had before. Can you kind of see that in his play at all?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. He's only played a couple games. But, I was there in Miami last year and witnessed it. He was... a lot of guys get hurt, they disappear from the scene, they go home, they rehab privately. But he was involved in the quarterback meetings, he was a coach on the field, and it's a credit to him. And I think you do benefit by watching and observing the good things that happen, the bad things that happen. And he's a veteran quarterback now. He's been in this system. I think he has a clear understanding of what his objective is, and they're 2-0 in a large part because of his play.
Strides last week. What's the next step for the offense?
Well, I was really pleased with what we did. Started the game in both halves very well. We just got to keep getting better in all areas. We got to keep getting better in all areas, and hopefully, we get some turnovers, we get some better field position, and some more opportunities. I think that's important. And got to finish some drives. Play calling would help.
I think after the game you said you thought that Derek could have completed every one of his throws. After going back and looking at it, what was just your overall impression of it?
He made some great audibles in the game. He recognized some looks. He helped us getting in the right play. He helped the protection by fixing some things up front. He benefited too, I think he would tell you, from some really good play around him. You know, we were able to pass protect for the most part at a high level. Guys ran great routes. Amari was outstanding in the game. And the combination of Derek's, performing at a high level and those around him, I think. And we ran the ball and stayed in some third down and regular situations. We weren't 2nd and 20. We didn't have a lot of penalties and behind in the chains against a team like that in the noise.
Through a couple of weeks, he has gotten the ball out very quickly, and a lot of the attempts have been fairly close to the line. Is that what you wanted to see so far? And do you see that opening up as the season goes on?
Well, I just want to be productive when we throw it. I think Cook averaged 20 yards a catch in the first game. Throwing the ball on time and accurate is a big part of winning football. We hope to get more big chunk plays. We're making an attempt to do that, and I think you'll see some more of that hopefully as the year unfolds.
Between Derek's adjustments pre-snap and protection and also the quick release, how much is Derek, in some sense, his best protection when it comes to staying upright?
I think if you go around the league, I don't have the official stats, but a lot of balls are complete, within 10 to 12 yards of the line of scrimmage. And the great quarterbacks protect themselves as much as some of the protection protects them. They don't hold the ball a significant amount of time. They have a feel for pressure. They avoid the catastrophic plays. And he's got a good feel back there for pressure. He's got a good when to let it go and when to hold on to it. And that comes with playing experience.
The pass rush was better in week two, but I'm sure you feel like you can generate more. How much of that do you think you can do with scheme, and how much is guys just becoming more comfortable in Paul's system?
I think it's a combination of those two things. Honestly, we're hoping we can get the opponent behind in the down and distance. You can ask any team in the league when you have a number of opportunities at bats when it's 2nd and 12 or 3rd and 11 or 3rd and 8. That certainly helps. But blitzing could be a part of it. Winning your one-on-ones is a big part of it. We just got to do it collectively, coaching and playing, and hopefully we're much better in Miami.
Paul didn't blitz much in Cincinnati, at least not last year. Do you want him to, stick to the system that he brought here? And I guess the other part is, do you have good blitzers here? I
think so. I think, you do what you have to do with the personnel you have to win a game. And there were years in Cincinnati when Mike Zimmer was there, they blitzed more than they did in other seasons. When you have Dunlap and you have Geno Atkins and others, sometimes you don't have to blitz. You can mix coverages. And sometimes the illusion of pressure, making the other quarterback thinking you're blitzing and not blitzing, is good. We were able to get Denver in some 7-man protections and just 3-man routes. We just got to do a better job collectively no matter how we get off the field.
You guys played some good pass rushers first 2 weeks. What kind of challenge Quinn and Wake on the outside?
Yeah, well, Wake has a history of being a troublesome guy, but I think a great free agent acquisition, or a trade they made, I should say, was Quinn. He raises hell off the edge. He can bend the edge. He's very athletic, plays hard. I love his motor. And it's hard to do in Miami where that heat is what it is. He's given them a lot of high-effort rushes, down in and down out. I really like the addition of Quinn. And, they've emerged, I think. They've got some young linebackers from Ohio State that are playing well. And Howard, their left corner, he's as good as we've seen so far this year.
How big do Miller and Penn compare the first 2 weeks in pass protection?
Yeah, pretty good. We've, like we said, we played 2 really good defenses, and, we've done some really good things up front quietly.
John, the reputation of big game receivers anyways is that they're loud, flamboyant, a little bit borderline obnoxious, but when you look at your guy Amari, he's the antithesis of that. Is that something that you like about him as long as he's producing, or what do you see from him?
Coop could do whatever he wants. I like him. I've had a chance to be around all kind of different guys, and the ones I like being around the most are the guys that can do what he did on Sunday. He had 10 official catches and 10 targets. He really was 11 for 11. I've never had that before. I mean, he's a great receiver. I've said that from the beginning. He's strong, he's fast, he knows what he's doing, and he is quiet. But we are communicating better. We're getting to know each other, and I like where this relationship is headed.
There was a game in 2005 when you were with the Bucks and you faced a rookie Frank Gore. Here we are in 2018, and you're game planning for him once more. The duration of his career, the way he prepares, obviously, to be playing still. What are your thoughts about Frank Gore?
That's similar to some of the free agents that we brought here. You know, he brings more to your team than just, running back yards, catches, blitz pickups. He brings character to your locker room, to your team. He's one of the top 5 or 6 football players that I've ever seen, and we weren't very smart for not drafting him.
Do you know yet whether you've had a real good bounce back physically from that game, or do you find that out this afternoon?
We're going to be a little bit careful today, and we'll put the pads on tomorrow. Today will be a big learning day. We've got a lot to learn in regards to Miami. We'll let the team get fresh physically, but we'll really go after them mentally and try and get them more and more reps to get them familiarized with the Dolphins.
Coach, you look around the league and a lot of teams are looking for pass rushers. Why is it so hard to find a pass rusher, and what are those qualities that make them work?
It's hard to find a great one. It's hard to find a good one. It's hard to find one. You just said it. And in college football now, they're not really dropping back to pass and throwing footballs anymore. They're throwing laterals and they're throwing bubble screens and they're running read options. So you got to train these guys. It takes a little bit of time to learn how to rush the passer. And we got some guys that are in that process right now.
Last one, Phil. Hey, John, Jordy hasn't been super productive the first couple weeks. Is he still finding his way in the system a little bit?
We're using a lot of receivers. We expect to see more and more from Jordy as the weeks unfold, but Cooper had a big week last week. Cook had a big week in week 1. Hopefully Jordy has one this week.
All right, so that's Coach Gruden's Wednesday update, weekly Wednesday update, I should say. That happened today. And, you heard him talk about that. And then he, of course, there was the week 2 recap against the Broncos, which I'm going to leave alone. But you heard him say that they have a lot to learn with respect to Miami, and that gives a clue to what to watch for. And one of the major aspects of this game that it's important to gauge is the degree. If you have a chance to look at Dolphins pass games, which I have not, but I'm saying in terms of a template of understanding what to expect for Sunday, do so, and then use that and compare it with what you're going to see. Because if the Dolphins are well coached, there will be a slight change up in tendency. For example, what they do on third down and 8 or 3rd and long on their side of the field against the Raiders versus what they did on their side of the field against their previous opponents, that sort of thing. Or formations. They may roll out a brand new formation. Have they ran, say for example, a crazy Auburn-style formation like that you might see, or have they ran a type of a wishbone or triple option offense, as Bill O'Buie has suggested the Raiders do before? Maybe they'll pop that out this time. That makes the game fun, at least to me. But I can't escape looking at the press conference and thinking to myself, what's the press conference going to look like next week if the Raiders are 0-3? That's looming. And the reason why I say that's looming is because the Raiders are not, arguably, at full strength. Unless they come out and completely change their game plan and do something I haven't seen them do, which is double-A gap blitz. Have you seen them do the double-A gap blitz during the regular season yet? I haven't seen it. They're in trouble. They have got to change their defensive philosophy. pronto, and they've got to make sure they stop the Dolphins on the ground. If they can't stop the Dolphins on the ground, this game is toast. If the Dolphins are allowed to get, do you realize the Broncos had 6 yards per rush on Sunday? If the Broncos are allowed to, if the Dolphins are allowed to achieve anything close to that through the first 20 plays of this contest, look out. It'll be pretty evident really quick. Now let me get to your comments. John Mark says 0-3, game over. Dolphins are 2-0. Cowboy Wrestler, how you doing? Oh, hey, by the way, Octavio, I would your shares too. I don't know if you came in. Corey Brown says, I wish you could interview Stephen Ross and get his opinion of the Vegas nonsense. If I were there, I would try to. Joseph Amanaran says, why can't John Gruden admit they're in rebuild mode? Multiple times he said they were building this team brick by brick. I think it's pretty obvious that he's rebuilt the team. Look, anytime you have a team with more veterans than any other team in the NFL, you can't get there but to have rebuilt your squad. So he's done that. And see, that brings up something that I've always wanted to talk about. What do you get when you get an aged team? You get what? Altogether, a slow team. All right, compared to the state of the art in terms of personnel, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars, as demonstrated by their crushing of the New England Patriots, are a team that flies to the ball. They're at the prime of their talent life. They're very well coached, and they're extremely effective, even without the services of last year's first-round draft pick running back Leonard Fournette for the Jaguars. They clobbered the Patriots without Leonard Fournette. That in and of itself is huge. They clobbered the Patriots without the full game services of Cam Robinson, the man that I wanted the Raiders to draft last year. That in and of itself is huge. So my point is, the Raiders have to be judged against the personnel benchmark of the 2018 NFL season. I present to you the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where are the Raiders? Older. That's where they are. And they don't run schemes that counter the fact that they're going to be facing teams with defenses that are much faster in terms of the immediate get off the ball than their offense, okay? Now, you're saying, hey, Zenny, just because they're older doesn't necessarily mean they're slow getting off the ball. But my point is that as a veteran, when you're talking about a veteran group, look, when you're in your 30s, you're not where you were when you were wily and you were spry in your 20s. You're a veteran. You're older. You know how to do things more by technique than by just brute force and physical, ability. Some people don't lose their physical ability. Others do. But it's a simple fact of life that in athletics in particular, your capabilities or incapabilities are enhanced as your incapabilities, are enhanced as you age. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, John Marks is saying hi to everybody, and Cowboy Wrestler says hi. Everybody's saying hi. Okay, hey, everybody says ML, how you doing? Well, we got 44 people here. How you doing? Hey, and Mile High Raider says, I think if we can win, we keep our defense fresh by rotating the players better and off the field. And Richie G says, this is a classic pride thing. Chucky got rid of everyone to say, I built the team and deserve that money instead of building what you got. Black Lion says, correct, John Marks, what's the average age of the team? It's the, I'll get that for you right now. The average age, I believe, is 28.5. Raiders average age. Yeah, it's Raiders average age. It's the oldest roster in years, and according to Pro Football Talk, the Over the Hill Gang, as they're now called, and I'll tell you where that came from. The Raiders' average age is 27.4 years. That's the average, okay? And so there's a ranking of teams by age after the 53-person cut down, and that was done by Jimmy Kimsky with the Philadelphia Voice staff, okay? And in fact, take a look at this, folks, because you'll get a chuckle out of, you know, there's Chucky, bingo, okay? And this is the, this is in, you know, okay? And obviously he's got the oldest team. It says, Khalil Mack, get him out, and let's get some old guys in here. Okay. All right. That's hilarious. Okay. The Bengals are now, this is interesting. They're 25.2. They're 1. They're the youngest. Okay. And they went from, they've always been around, looks like 25, 26 here. All right. But Bengals are number 1. Browns, Cowboys, Rams, Jaguars. Now look at this, okay? Winning, the Jaguars are winners, the Rams are winners, Cowboys won a game, Browns tied and lost. Bengals are what, 2-0, right? So all these are winners. The Vikings, the Texans, the Colts, Seahawks, Packers, Eagles, Bears, Chiefs, Chargers, 49ers, Steelers, Broncos, Ravens, Jets, Titans, Giants, Bucks, Redskins, Saints, Cardinals, Dolphins, Lions, Bills, Panthers, Patriots, Falcons, and Raiders, all right? So the Bills are 0-2. The Raiders are 0-2. The Patriots are, what, 1-1. The Falcons are 1-1 on 0-2. The Lions are, I believe, 0-2. So you don't have, among these are the oldest teams. You don't have a 2-0 team in the bunch. The Dolphins are the oldest 2-0 team, right? The Cardinals are 0-2. Okay, so my point is that what you can see is that even though it's not a clear and direct and classically perfect correlation, there is a correlation between age and wins and losses, and it's emerging. And as the season progresses, it's going to become more pronounced. And so, you know, there we are. The Raiders are the oldest at 27.4. But not only that, folks, the Raiders were, get this, they were 2 years ago, when the Raiders posted their best season in the last 4 years, they were 26.5 years average. The next year under Del Rio, they were 26 years. Del Rio's final year, they're 26.1. Gruden has raised that age by a full year, 0.2, okay? When Del Rio came in, the Raiders were 27 years old. They were, you know, they were 30. They were oldest, and they were 26.1. So when the Raiders went younger, they got better. When the Raiders went younger, they got better. The question is, right now, it's quite obvious the Raiders went older and they didn't get better. Is it that simple? Well, there's a lot more to it than that, as you and I both know. But age of a player is something that reflects who you're drafting, who you're playing, who you're starting, who you're keeping, all of that. Cowboy Wrestler says, okay, I'm sorry, Barry Lee! Barry Lee says it still blows his mind that they got rid of Mac. Mikkel says, does anyone have a favorite flavor of wings? Yes, I do, barbecue. Cowboy Wrestler said, good night. Now he's sticking around. Awesome. Because I'm going to go about 1:15. But Joseph Mondarit says, you're right, John Marks, the age of the last Super Bowl team. John Marks, prior to that, said, I think Black Lion wanted the age of the last Super Bowl Raiders appearance, I think. Oh, wow. That was 2003. And Chad D says, it's all about the Bears now. Yeah. And, hey, this is the, you know what? This is the last Super Bowl the Raiders were in. Ta-da. That's right. Look. This is it. This is the 2003 Super Bowl, folks. Look, see this? That was my second Super Bowl. In Miami. San Diego. That's right. Bill Callahan, coach Raiders, took on The John Gruden coached Buccaneers. We know the outcome of that. It was a fun time in San Diego, though. Had a great trip. If you have a chance, I believe it's still there to this day. Eat at George's on the Cove. Great place, great steaks, love it. All right, that was the last time for me. Now, Richie G says Chucky don't care about winning in Oakland. He's setting shop for Vegas with first-round picks for the future. Mile High Raider says, isn't Beast Mode the oldest on the squad? I believe yes. Kevin KD says, no, he's not. He's not. The oldest on the squad is Mr. Johnson, a linebacker. He's 35. Tom Kohler says, what's the news about the stadium in Vegas? I'll get to that. And thank you for asking, Tom. Mile High Raider says, I will take experience over youth, but not in the secondary. We need young and fast guys there. Much agreed. And what else did I miss? I think I got all the comments. Yeah. Okay. And Kevin KD writes, I still have nightmares about Super Bowl 37. It really hurts to even think about it, let alone hear about it. Sorry. And John Marks says, I know your pain. And then Kevin KD says, John Marks, I'm upset right now just remembering it. I was there. In fact, I remember I told this story before, but it's worth telling again. Sorry, Kevin KD, I just have to. I bought like $200 worth of souvenirs, including this shirt, and made the mistake. Okay, you have to remember, this was my first Super Bowl after 9/11, and it was the introduction for me of the NFL's brand new frisk rules for going into the stadium, right? Because I'm a Raider fan, I wore all black. It was 90 degrees. It never occurred to me I would have to stand in a long line to get into the stadium at all. So here I go to the stadium with my souvenirs. I took a cab to get to the stadium. I got off. I stood in line for 2 hours in 90-degree heat. I got up to the metal line, and the guy said, you have two choices with that bag. You can either give it to us and we discard it, or put it back in your car. And I said, gee, I took a cab here. He goes, well, those are your two choices. So I said, okay. So I got online. I was like, I don't believe this. And I walked around trying to think of what to do. I saw a garbage bin that was placed in a very inconspicuous area right between two Cadillac SUV limousines within a fleet of these Cadillac SUV limousines that were marked for the Super Bowl, right? So I thought, you know what, let me see if there's anything in that bin, and if not, I'll put it in there, and then I'll come out. I said, hopefully it's a blowout. The Raiders are going to blow out the Bucs. That's what I was thinking. The Raiders are going to blow out the Bucs. I'll put the bag in the bin. I'll come out at third quarter. I'll get it, and I can go. That was my thinking. Okay? As we know, there was a blowout. I left early. My bag was still there. Okay? That's my biggest memory, other than going down to the side. My friends, Beth and her brothers, Steven and Raisin, had end-zone seats, and we saw the Buccaneers score from down there against the Raiders. That was John Alstott, their big running back, scoring. And yeah, it was a sad loss. Then I spent the rest of the game until I left watching with Charlie Santana Jr., who was just basically hanging his head over a glass of scotch, like, oh, I can't believe this is going on. Oh. It was going on. We were getting clobbered. It hurt. That was the Super Bowl. All right, so John Mark says he was at the 2000 AFC title game versus the Ravens. Predator Kingdom says it's not just a coaster, it's an invitation. Meg from Family Guy. I like that one. Kevin KD says that Ravens game was absolutely dreadful. It was. And Omega Supreme with Cheese says, second that, Jay Boogie. What did Jay Boogie says? Dude not getting bombed. Let's see here. Jay Boogie says, Burnett, yeah, Burt Robbins and everybody's clown. You let everybody down. He did, yeah. If you don't remember the story of Barrett Robbins, he was our center. And Barrett had a depression problem, a bipolar problem that brought on depression. And it caused him to go down to Mexico City and get inebriated and get lost. It was a very sad story, but basically it really hurt the Raiders in that they lost their offensive line signal caller, because that's what the center does. The center calls the proper protections, the proper blocking combinations for every play based on the kind of defensive front the offense is facing. The center comes out, the center will basically, sometimes the quarterback, depending on the system, sometimes the quarterback will yell out the front, sometimes the center. The front is generally, it's either odd or even. If it's odd, you got a nose tackle facing you. If you have a nose tackle facing you, it dictates where your inside linebackers are. Or if it's odd, or if it dictates that, even if you have one of the persons, a middle linebacker here, the guard knows to take on that linebacker over here. This guard will take on the tackle if the overshift happens to be to the left as opposed to the right, or strong side, weak side, whichever the case may be. So it's the center's job to call out what kind of blocking they're going to use. If it's going to be straight blocking, full blocking, they have signals for those. Full blocking is where the center takes on the would take on, let's say, let the guard go first and take on the nose tackle, move back, then go around the guard and go up and get the linebacker. That's the fold block, okay? So there are a number of different calls the center is responsible for. We've worked out all those calls during the game planning sessions, during the meetings prior to the contest. So Robbins has all that in his head when he gets on the field. He was very good at it, and he wasn't there. Big loss. Big loss. So February 3rd, 2003, I think Super Bowl 37 was on. It was. And Black Lion says, not to mention our coach was on the other side of the field. That's right, because Gruden had been traded from the Raiders to the Bucs. And as he said during training camp, I ain't got all day. I'm here for one reason. And then he basically lit a fire under those Buccaneers that they hadn't seen under the soft-spoken demeanor of the great Hall of Fame coach Tony Dungy, because that's what he is. All right. We've got Omega Supreme says, Callahan is like the coach from Waterboy, holding the clipboard with all the winning plays until he ran into the guy who wrote the plays. Tom Collins says, Richie G, I think the Raiders will play in Oakland in 2019 and 2020. Yep. I think so too. God, this water's great. Joseph Amber Endurance says, I'm from LA, but still hurts they left us in if 94 season is hurts you leaving Oakland. Yeah, see, you only talk once. Man, I've been through this twice. Jeez. 82 and, 2020, right? Well, 2021, technically. Mile High Raider says, which brings me, speaking of which brings me to the problem with the Raiders Stadium. And it was put out by, of all people, Vital Vegas blogger Scott. And what Scott reported, and I retweeted, is this bit of information. It goes like this. Let's see here. There. By the way, architect Robert Venturi died at 93. Great man. Sorry. Sad loss. All right, it goes like this. Vital Vegas. Word of growing discontent among local. Let me show this to you, okay? Word of growing discontent among local design and construction contractors that so many Raiders stadium deals are being made with out-of-state companies. Expect this to be a thing, with potential lawsuits due to reported broken promises. Now, what's equally interesting are the responses. For example, I said, isn't right here, see this? Isn't this exactly what people were saying would happen? And then someone else says, just the crazy people who didn't believe the hype or hollow promises. And then, let's see here. We've got more here. It says, happens a lot in public projects. Out-of-state contractors come in, set up a one-room call center with mail service to get a Nevada business license, and then bring in workers and equipment from out of state. Okay, it was Pat Ellis, and then so there's basically general consensus that this is the problem. Okay, and it says there's a crane company. That's hard for me to. That makes me dizzy just watching that. Diablo Cranes, whatever. Someone's pointing fingers. Sean F says so. All those jobs that were created are being filled by carpetbaggers. Awesome. At least locals would get their pick of the part-time, seasonal, minimum wage food service jobs when the stadium opens. And then Brian says, who could ever expect that a franchise that has always acted so honorably and in such good faith with their local community like the Raiders would ever do something like this? Anyone who wanted this team to come here is a sucker. Okay. Says, I can confirm that one contractor I know got jacked around for weeks before they gave a $9 million job to an out-of-state contractor. John says, I'm shocked. Next thing you're going to tell us is the schools have gotten zero of the marijuana tax. Did the same thing happen with Tesla? Boy. And then I think they mean Fusion. And then told you. Oh no, he means Tesla. Told you construction is even shadier than the goons agents selling the stacked bricks. Then it says Nevada Contractors Association, Nevada needs to step up a little more. Okay. And then this guy's like, okay, I don't know who that's about. All right, this is having a pro team is the worst thing for Vegas. Local companies and workers should be priority number one with regard to the construction of the new stadium. Why on earth would you not work with those trades you made promises to? And moved here from Phoenix 12 years ago, been through all the stadium, arena, professional sports team stuff before, was enjoying being free of professional sports. It says, you have sports ball connections? There's a question there. And let's see here. This guy is like, imagine that. I would never have guessed something like this could ever happen. Sarcasm, you don't say. And then John Marks says, so tell the guy, bowl cuts never went away. So there's John Marks. John Marks starring John Marks. Skylar Jameson says, out-of-state contractors is just the start. How many, oh, that's horrible. How many illegal aliens are, okay. Good, maybe they'll stay in Oakland. And then we got one more reply. I didn't like the thing about illegal aliens. Said that ship sailed long ago. They'll be leaving as soon as the 2019-2020 season is done. And then what says Marcus, and there's more replies. This thing's got a lot of replies in it, didn't it? Okay, what else? Anyway, you get the idea. It's a lot of replies, but that's the news. And now for the other side of that story, I called a friend of mine, Stanley Washington, who's been on the show, and asked him about that. And he told me that he didn't hear that from his perspective. He said he was going to ask around and find out if that was the case. But as far as he was aware, Nevada local contractors were getting the work. Now, here's where the rubber of that, cover up meets the road of the news that I got from Stanley Washington. Because if you have people who are fronting as being local, but they're not really, how's he going to tell, right? It's not going to come out in the numbers. But if it's not going to come out in the, obvious direct numbers. But if you start looking at where the money is going, who's getting the work and who's coming in, if they start investigating from that and it turns out to be the case, wow, look out, folks. It's going to be nasty. And if what Scott says bears out, and I have no reason to doubt him, because he doesn't have a dog in the hunt. He really doesn't. He's not anti Raiders so much as he thinks he's not a fan of what he believes is going to do to Vegas. Okay, so maybe he does kind of have a dog in the hunt from that perspective, but he hasn't been hunting for bad things about it. He just told about what was happening maybe once in a while. But when he gets a tip from someone, you can bet the tip is top notch, tip top. So Kevin KD says, Cowboy Wrestler, I honestly believe the NFL owners are well aware of this, and they're just using Marky Mark and the Raiders to get their foot in Vegas. John Mark says, Cowboy Wrestler, if they stay in Oakland, there's plenty of places to go. And Cowboy Wrestler says, the Black Lion Supreme, who joked about shooting blank? Sorry about that. Tom Kohler says, tomorrow is a Stadium Authority meeting in Vegas. We will see. And, yep. And unfortunately, because I have to, I'm not going to be able to cover the Stadium Authority meeting unless I get back here at 4. Because I've got some chores to do with my mom. So we'll see how that goes. If I'm able to get back here, let's see what time the Stadium Authority starts. It's usually at 1 o'clock. LV Stadium Authority. If it's at 1 o'clock, that's 4 o'clock here. I got a fighting chance. Then I live stream it. It is 1 o'clock. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. So I might just live stream the thing. Let's see what the meeting info is all about with the agenda. Since it's tomorrow, I can read it off for you. Starts at, okay, Stadium Authority board meeting agenda, September 20th. It has a lot of background materials. There's the Stadium Authority meeting minutes from the 19th of July, a project status report, which I'll read, the NDOT settlement agreement release, community benefits plan report, Stadco monthly report, stadium parking report, Stadium Authority bylaws draft, Stadium Authority conflict of interest policy drafts, amendment 1 to stadium disbursement, stadium door and columns operations agreement draft, budget draft between functions. All right, and the agenda goes like this. And note, you know what I didn't hear? Room tax revenue report. How about that? No room tax revenue report. Oh, geez. Call to order, public comment, approval of agenda with the inclusion of any emergency items, chairman board member comments, review and potentially approve minutes of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board meeting 19th, receive a status update on the operations of Stadium Authority, including a monthly project status report, receive a report from staff on the community benefits plan, receive a status update from Las Vegas Stadium Events Company on the progress of the NFL Stadium project, receive a status report on the parking plan, review and potentially approve the bylaws of the Clark County Stadium Authority for possible action, review and potentially approve the conflict of interest policy, review and potentially approve amendment number 1 to the stadium disbursement agreement between Stadium Events Company, the Clark County Stadium Authority, and Fidelity National Title Insurance Company. Fidelity got that contract. Review and possibly approve the Las Vegas Stadium door and columns operations agreement between Clark County Stadium Authority, and Las Vegas Stadium Events Company, LLC, for possible action. Consider and possibly authorize the May 2018 transfers of appropriations between functions within various funds as shown as Exhibit B in accordance with Uh-oh. Ooh. Consider and potentially authorize the May 2018 transfers of appropriations between functions within various funds as shown in Exhibit B in accordance with NRS 354-59805. This has to do with the transfer of funds from the authority to the Raiders. But in that, there's got to be some conversation about a shortfall in monies from the stadium tax. And you know what? That's not on the agenda. Okay? That's not on the agenda, folks. Wow. That's not on the agenda. Da-da-da. That's not on the agenda. That's bad. We've got, let me see something here. Budget transfers between functions. Open this up. Clark County is authorizing just a one-page thing? No. Okay. From general government to transfers out $1.7 million. From Fund 4960. Okay. From Fund 4960. If I'm not mistaken, general government, what this looks like on its face is that the Stadium Authority had to borrow $1.7 million from Clark County. That's what it looks like. Hold on a second. Let me show you what I'm looking at, folks. All right, look at this. Look at this, okay? Transfers, payment, all right? They don't have where you can zoom in on this very well at all, okay? But look at what this says. All right? See that? Then prior to that, it says, the governing body shall be advised of the action to transfer appropriations between functions or programs within a fund. This action does not increase the total appropriations and is not in conflict with any statutory provisions. The exact amounts transferred in the accounts, functions, and funds affected are noted in the attachment. The purpose of the transfer is to realign appropriations with functional needs to manage Stadium Authority funds. Okay? The Clark County Stadium Authority Board of Directors, in accordance with that, transfers appropriations, okay? And that's from Stephen Hill, all right? Some services and supplies to transfers out to move interest to debt service fund. Holy cow. From service and supplies to transfers out to move interest to debt service fund. That means they have a problem, okay? And this is a gobbledygook way of covering it up. They're moving $1.7 million to the debt service interest fund to indicate the stadium tax revenue shortfall that I have talked so much about and that is not clearly in black and white noted on this agenda. Wow. Okay. Yeah, oh, not funny, not funny. Look at this. Okay. And they got a blank page. You see, that's it. That's it. All right. But look at this. From general government to transfers out. From services and supplies to transfers out to move interest to debt service fund. That's what that says. In very small print. Okay? That's what that says. Wow. Okay. I mean, there's a lot more here, too. What else? Well, let me see something here. This is... It's always the gobbledygook one you want to read first. The one that looks, you know, like it's got this hairy language, and you're like, ooh, I don't want to read that because I don't know what it is. That's always the one you need to read. Wow. Wow. Can you say, ha ha? Oh boy, it's only going to get worse, folks. See? Boy, oh boy. Okay? It's only going to get worse. Project status report as of July. And see, this is September, right? They're reading project status reports as of July of 2018. You understand? Items 6, 7, 8, 9, they're all status reports that are months behind. Project status report for 2018 general overview view. All right. The project budget was unchanged. Few funding notices have been produced, processed. All right. Project schedule. The project schedule is unchanged. Substantial completion is expected, but look for July 31st. This is all old news. All right. These guys are not trotting out anything that's update. Okay? They aren't trotting out jack that's update. This is crazy. All right? I mean, this is ridiculous. I gotta report this. Okay? And I gotta report the fact that I'm gonna ask the question. I'm gonna say, hey, look, they're taking that money, they're transferring it. That's a problem, all right? Wow. Holy cow. Richard Hike says, I don't understand the ride or die people. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see here, 11 or 5, right? Who else? Black Lion says, no need to apologize. John Marks. Johnny Codina says, how much do they pay on stadium Texas? Or you mean taxes? It's not the question. The question is how much are they getting from stadium taxes, the hotel taxes. They don't pay a property tax because it's publicly owned. So that's not there, all right? John Marks, in response to what I said, typed, oh, say it ain't Zoe's any. Problem in Vegas? Yeah, problem in Vegas. Wow, I gotta write this one. I gotta do this one. I mean, so Big April says Raiders 4-12 this season if they're lucky, okay. And Richie G says they know what they're doing because they don't care about local cheap labor ticket prices. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means at all. So at all. So wow. But this is interesting. It's like. And John Mark says, and yet they still haven't no problems in Vegas. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Well, it's not just that. I mean, look, get this. The stadium status reports are all behind. Hey, everybody, please subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Black Lion says, been a Raider fan all my life, even when they moved. The first time my entire family jumped ship to become 49ers fans, I stayed loyal to the Raiders. Hey, folks, it is 1:29. I'm going to have to bail out. I'm going to write a piece based on what I told you with this live stream embedded in it to show that I was bringing this to your attention, right? This is horrifying. I mean, this is bad, okay? Someone's got to say it, and I think I know the headline I'm going to present. Okay, hey everybody, good night. I will see you tomorrow. We can check back if I'm here at 4. I'll try to put the thing on live stream. It should be interesting. But I gotta go. I gotta go. Get. All right, good night, everybody. And as I say that now, 61 people here. You're all here. I gotta go. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I'll be back later. I gotta go. I'm sorry, I'll be back tomorrow. Come on back. Watch horror films. Keep America strong. And remember, there's a problem in Vegas. Stay tuned. Hey, bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. All right? I'll see ya. See ya. See ya. Boy, I just forgot something. You know what it is? Usually there's a button on here to cancel, right? Or to stop things. And, oh, it's right here. I'm losing it. I'll see you guys later. It's been a long week.